You've probably been swept away by the intricate drum patterns and philosophical lyrics of Neil Peart, the monumental mind behind Rush. Perhaps you've admired his unparalleled talent and his profound dedication to his craft. But have you ever truly wondered what forged such an extraordinary individual? The Neil Peart story isn't just about hit songs or iconic performances. It's far more complicated than you know, woven from threads of genius, profound loss, and an arduous inner journey. Prepare to delve into a different dimension of this musical legend, the hidden facets of his life, the silent battles he fought, and the incredible resilience that shaped one of the 20th century's most influential artists. This narrative will peel back the layers, revealing that the Neil Peart story is more complicated than you might realize, opening up a world of emotion and lessons far beyond the music itself. Neil Peart avoids fame and embraces solitude. Neil Peart commanded a thunderous presence on stage, yet he was an intensely private person who found fame distressing rather than comfortable. Rush's growing popularity in the late 1970s pushed him to step back from public life. This created a paradox that left many fans puzzled but proved vital to his creative work. "Fame for me is embarrassing," Peart once confessed. "I don't feel like people are bothering me, but at the same time, I get embarrassed if strangers walk up to me on the street who think they know me. I just get embarrassed, tense, and uncomfortable. Well, because it's unreal." His stance wasn't just about being shy. He rejected the whole concept of celebrity worship. Celebrity status created artificial walls between people, and this bothered him deeply. "It's something that I try to fight, but you can only fight it so much, because it's such an ingrained thing in society that somehow entertainers and celebrities are different from everybody else. It's something I detest. I really hate it. It's totally unnatural. It's totally unreal. It makes everyone uncomfortable, and it makes everyone alienated." Rush's 1981 hit Limelight showed the stark contrast between his public and private sides. Peart described it as an attempt on my part to explain myself as an introvert feeling totally alienated by the gilded cage of it all. Many musicians who struggled with sudden fame found the song appealing. Most rock stars love the spotlight, but Peart recoiled from the spotlight instead of hanging himself up and continue working on his music. He regularly shirked the fame of Rush in favor of creative endeavors. His bandmates got this part of him completely. They worked as one unit rather than seeking individual attention. Alex put it simply, "That's always been our goal. The whole point of being in a band is to be one unit." Peart avoided fan interactions because he saw these meetings as fake. "They think they know me. They don't know me. They don't know anything about me. They're strangers. It just makes me defensive," he explained. He wasn't antisocial, though, as he pointed out. "I like meeting people. I like people. One of my favorite subjects to think and write about is the human race." Fame changed his daily life against his wishes. In the first 4 or 5 years that we were on the road, if I wanted to, I'd walk out of the hotel, walk through the city to the gig, and walk in the back door. I'd get up in the morning and go to work. Then I'd finish work and go back home, just like a normal person. I love that. I love it more because I can't do it anymore. Peart found clever ways to stay anonymous throughout his career. "My adaptation was to liberate myself. Even since the 80s, I started carrying a bicycle on the bus, and on days off, I would travel around on my bicycle, and on show days, I'd ride around to the local art museums and the local parks and be part of the world and talk to people." He observed that on a bicycle you are always harmless, and people will always talk to you, and added that motorcycling, of course, is anonymous and free. He saw himself as the observer not being observed, and valued his privacy as fuel for creativity. After retiring in 2015, he retreated into retirement in the coves of Santa Monica and stepped further away from public life. He kept his battle with brain cancer private until his death. He made one notable exception to his stance on fan interaction. For years he answered letters sent through Modern Drummer magazine. This practice continued until the internet made it impossible. In the last year or so, the number of letters has doubled or tripled all of the sudden he wrote in the 1990s. All it took was a few people to go on the worldwide gossip net and start telling people that I had answered their letters through Modern Drummer, and the floodgates were open. Neil Peart loses wife and daughter in tragic succession. Rush reached its commercial peak in 1997 when tragedy hit Neil Peart and changed his life and career forever. The drummer who carefully built his public and private life faced a devastation that no one could have prepared for. Peart's world shattered on August 10, 1997, right after Rush finished their test for Echo Tour. His 19-year-old daughter, Selena Taylor, died in a single-car accident on Highway 401 near Brighton, Ontario. That morning, Peart had helped Selena pack her car for her sophomore year at the University of Toronto. Their worst fears came true when a police officer knocked on their door after Selena didn't call to confirm she'd arrived. Neil's wife, Jackie, sank into overwhelming grief. She received a diagnosis of metastatic cancer just months after Selena's death. Peart later shared that she took this news almost gratefully. Jackie passed away on June 20th, 1998, just 10 months after losing their daughter. Peart believed Jackie died of a broken heart and saw it as a slow suicide by apathy. She just didn't care. He felt Jackie had lost her will to live after Selena's death. Sources noted that he believed she died of a broken heart, that she just lost the will to live after the loss of their beloved Selena. The loss of his entire family in less than a year left Peart completely broken. He found himself totally alone at 45. His fame and wealth offered no protection from this deep grief. Peart stunned his bandmates Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson at Jackie's funeral with 4 simple words: "Consider me retired." Lee and Lifeson thought this meant the end of Rush. Grief changed Peart so much that he felt disconnected from who he used to be. He couldn't recognize himself while watching one of his old drum instruction videos. Only a little baby soul remained, which he tried to protect as he dealt with his devastating loss. His book, Ghost Rider, Travels on the Healing Road, revealed his darkest moments. In the days following Selena's death, I had learned for myself how a sunny day could actually seem dark, the sun totally wrong, and how the world around me, the busy lives of all those oblivious strangers, could seem so futile and unreal as what passed for my own life. The pain ran so deep that Peart thought about ending his life during this time. Rush stopped all activities. The band didn't perform or create music for 5 years, while Peart sought solitude away from his past life. His naturally private personality led him to withdraw completely to process his grief. The legendary drummer made an extraordinary choice in response to his unbearable loss. He jumped on his motorcycle and rode 55,000 miles through North and Central America. He later wrote, "It was hard for me to accept that fate could be so unjust that other people's lives should remain unscarred by the kind of evil that had been visited upon me." Neil Peart rides 55,000 miles to survive his grief. Neil Peart told his bandmates he couldn't be the drummer for Rush anymore. He got on his BMW motorcycle and disappeared into the big North American landscape. This became a 14-month trip of survival and self-discovery. A month after losing his wife in August 1998, Peart started what he later called a desperate flight instead of freedom. He rode his BMW R1100 GS motorcycle and covered an amazing 55,000 miles across North America. His route stretched from the Canadian Arctic to the American Southwest, through Mexico, and down to Belize. The massive scale of his trip matched the depth of his grief. He called himself the Ghost Rider during this time. "I'm a ghost. I carry a few ghosts with me, and I'm riding through a world that isn't quite real. but I'm okay as long as I keep moving," he wrote. His motorcycle became more than just a way to travel. It was his therapist, church, and sanctuary. To be on the road or on the march, that was the thing, Peart said, suggesting constant movement helped keep his crushing sadness away. Long-distance riding had a unique effect. It tired his body enough to quiet his troubled mind. This life-changing trip became the foundation of his acclaimed memoir, Ghost Rider Travels on the Healing Road, published in 2002. The book combined his road notes letters to friends and thoughts as he faced his grief. Peart developed practical ways to cope that slowly rebuilt his broken spirit. The wilderness became his sanctuary. Nature's vastness, from deserts to forests, helped him see life differently when everything felt meaningless. Motion as therapy became his main strategy. The rhythm of the road and daily challenges gave temporary purpose to his life that had lost all meaning. Peart described a key moment. "My eyebrows lifted at the realization. I actually liked something, and thus from that pair of rocks I began to build a new world." Along with riding, he kept a journal and wrote to close friends material that later shaped his book. His writings show his gradual change. "I've got to start all over. Not only build a new life, but construct a new person." His epic trip ended in Southern California, where he started fresh with one suitcase, a bicycle, and a boombox. This motorcycle pilgrimage did what seemed impossible. It gave him room to breathe, heal, and finally find a reason to live again. With his extraordinary strength and unwavering will, he was finally able to overcome his pain. Guess who had the most impact and helped him overcome it? Was it really just his way of overcoming it? It was all a long journey, and in it the presence of the band members became a strong support for him, in spirit and support. It was built on friendship, empathy, and a companionship that understood each other over a long period of time. Let's take a look back at that journey and understand why they were so meaningful in Neil Peart's life. How did Neil Peart join Rush? Neil Peart's politics and philosophical views shaped rock music like few drummers could. His explosive drumming precision came with an intellectual depth that turned Rush from a hard-edged barroom rock band into progressive music pioneers. No one could have predicted how he would revolutionize their sound when he joined Rush on July 29, 1974. 2 weeks later, he played on stage at Pittsburgh's Civic Arena in front of more than 11,000 people. Life dealt him crushing blows in 1997. His 19-year-old daughter Selena died in a car accident. His world shattered further when his partner Jackie died from cancer just 10 months later. Grief-stricken, he started a 55,000-mile motorcycle trip across North and Central America. He wasn't looking for answers, just healing. His private journals from this solo trip became some of the most intimate rock memoirs. Neil Peart's books show us that his story goes way beyond his role as the professor of drumming. His path through personal tragedy, his struggle with health issues like chronic tendinitis, and his changing political views paint a picture of a man more complex than most fans knew. A lanky, awkward 21-year-old drummer pulled up to a Rush audition in the summer of 1974. He drove his mother's Ford Pinto with his drums packed in garbage bags. This young man was Neil Peart, who would become one of rock's most influential drummers and lyricists. Peart had played with several local Ontario bands before the audition, most recently a group called Hush. His musical future looked uncertain as he worked at his father's farm equipment dealership in St. Catharines. Rush faced their own challenge. They had an album deal, an upcoming tour, but needed a drummer after John Rutsey left due to health issues. The band didn't love Peart right away. "I remember thinking, God, he's not nearly cool enough to be in this band," Alex Lifeson said. Geddy Lee thought he was kinda goofy. Peart himself felt unsure about the audition and later admitted, "I was kind of weird looking and didn't think he played well enough." Everything changed once Peart started playing. Lifeson remembered, he pounded the crap out of those drums. He played like Keith Moon and John Bonham at the same time. Lee couldn't contain his excitement. I had this shit-eating grin on my face. How can you have a poker face when Neil Peart is playing drums for you? Though Lifeson wanted to see more drummers, he finally told Lee, "Okay, I understand why you got excited about the last guy." Peart joined Rush on July 29, 1974. He had just 2 weeks to learn their entire repertoire before their American tour. His first show happened on August 14, 1974, at the Pittsburgh Civic Arena, where they opened for Manfred Mann and Uriah Heep in front of 11,000 people. The experience stayed with Peart, who later described the big dark building colored lights on the heroic figures up on the stage, the roaring audience, the sheer electricity in that place. Rush's transformation. Rush was a 3-year-old hard rock band, influenced by Led Zeppelin and Cream, before Peart arrived. Their self-titled debut album featured straightforward rock that had gained some attention in the US. Peart's addition changed their direction completely, both musically and lyrically. The band hired Peart to play drums, but he soon became their primary lyricist, a role the other members didn't want. His love of literature and deep thinking brought new dimensions to Rush's songwriting. One observer said, "What he did was take the band into a more progressive direction, which gave them the career they've had." Their 1975 album, Fly By Night, marked the beginning of this change. The record moved away from their earlier sound with complex compositions and thought-provoking lyrics. They mixed straightforward rockers like Best I Can and Making Memories with ambitious pieces like Anthem and the 8-minute 37-second journey, By Tour and the Snow Dog. Peart's technical drumming with its intricate patterns, razor-sharp fills, and hard rock power lifted the band's musicianship. He introduced many fans to progressive music. One fan said, "Neil became the gateway for me to find progressive music. Everything about the man puts him into a class of his own." Peart's intellectual depth appealed to audiences just as much as his drumming. His lyrics explored philosophy, social issues, and science fiction. This mix of technical skill and thoughtful writing helped Rush grow from a bar band into progressive rock pioneers. The bond between Peart Lee and Lifeson surpassed typical band relationships. Their unique connection kept them together for over 40 years, making them one of rock's most influential and lasting bands. Neil Peart retires quietly amid health problems. Physical touring became too demanding for Neil Peart in his 60s. His body showed signs of wear. Chronic tendinitis and shoulder problems affected the legendary drummer who once seemed unstoppable behind his massive kit. Peart quietly announced his retirement through an interview with Drumhead magazine in December 2015. He simply described himself as a retired drummer. Rush's final experience on the road, the R40 tour, showed how much his body struggled. His foot developed a painful infection that made walking almost impossible during the tour. He could barely walk to the stage at one point, Alex Lifeson recalled. They got him a golf cart to drive him to the stage, and he played a 3-hour show at the intensity he played every single show. A more serious health crisis lurked beneath these visible challenges. Peart started having trouble with his beloved Sunday crossword puzzles in June 2016, just months into retirement. His words became confused by August. Medical examinations revealed devastating news: glioblastoma, an aggressive form of brain cancer that typically gives patients 12-18 months to live. Peart ended up living 3.5 years after his diagnosis, until his death on January 7, 2020. He managed to keep his condition private at his own request throughout this difficult time. He just wanted to be in control of it, Lifeson explained. The last thing in the world he would want is people sitting on his sidewalk or driveway singing Closer to the Heart or something. That was a great fear of his. His family, wife Carrie Nuttall and their daughter Olivia, became his focus in those final years. He spent time volunteering at Olivia's school library and cooking family dinners. His wife reflected, he was living his life exactly the way he wanted for the first time in decades, probably.